We'll start with the um, last part of the Block 2 book. It is about the export processing zones, export oriented units, and special economic zones. Other than that, you will be coming across a term which is known as DTA. So, we'll be discussing all those things in today's session, and thereafter, we will move to the export of or trade prospects of some selected products. In some of the last classes, we already discussed about the export houses, about the star trading houses, and we got some idea about export processing zone, export oriented units. In this particular unit, we just will be having some more knowledge on that. As you know, what is EPZ? It is an export processing zone. As I mentioned earlier, this zone or this area is exclusively meant for export units to be established. Whichever organization starts its operation in that area will be considered an export unit, and whatever they will produce, that will be exclusively meant for exporting. So, what is the advantage of export processing zone? Actually, when the government decides to make a particular area an export processing zone, from its side, means from the government side, the land there is developed. There would be proper facility for drainage, for electricity, for drinking water. The plots which will be allotted to different organizations will be in a developed stage, mostly with labeling and boundaries. Next, to facilitate trade, to facilitate their financial transactions, there would be post offices, there would be banks. So, all the infrastructure development will be done by the government to facilitate the process, to facilitate the operation of all the units established there. So, whenever an organization gets permission to establish its unit in an export processing zone, that means it doesn't have to go from office to office for power connection, for water connection, to make its own drainage arrangement, to make its financial transaction through bank at a distant place. So, everything will be at hand to operate smoothly. Then, about export oriented unit. Just a minute. Some disturbance is coming from my side. Just a minute. Hello. So, export, this is all about export processing zone. That means it's a developed area, and the organizations will get ample facility to start or to run their operations. Then about export oriented units. The export oriented unit means these units which are not operating inside export processing zone, they will get or they will get them registered as 100% export oriented units at any other location in India, but they will enjoy the same benefits as the units which are there or which exist in export processing zone. But other things will differ, because in export processing zone, government already has made some arrangements to facilitate the operations. But the export oriented units which are scattered or which are established somewhere else than the export processing zone, they have to make all the arrangements on their own. That facility will not, that infrastructure facility will not be provided by the government. But they will enjoy all other government benefits as far as export is concerned, like the units established in EPZ. Now, next we will uh, next we will discuss about a term which is known as DTA. It will come at a later part, but we can discuss it right now. DTA means domestic tariff area. This term we should be knowing because the area which is outside the export processing zones, or will be coming across another term, special economic zone. Let us say that the areas which are exclusively marked by the government for export promotion, like EPZ, like special economic zone, other than those areas, all other areas within the national boundary can be termed as a DTA. Domestic tariff area basically means the area where the domestic tariffs are applicable. So you may ask, only domestic tariff is applicable to other areas, is domestic tariff is not applicable to the export processing zones? Well, domestic tariff is not applicable to export processing zone because the units which are established in EPZ, they are enjoying some other benefits. They are enjoying customs exemption, custom duty exemption. They are enjoying to import duty waiver. So, DTA, this term, when we will be discussing about the products moving from EPZ to DTA, what will be the impact on that product at a later stage? We will discuss that. But initially, we know EPZ, we know export oriented unit, and as all of you know, what could be the objectives for which these special zones are created? As all of you know, for foreign trade, we need to increase the base of our foreign currency reserve, through which we can exchange, through the exchange of currency, we can purchase some other things from other countries. So the basic objective for establishing these organizations is to export promotion, that means to generate foreign exchange surplus. The more we export, the more chances of getting or earning foreign currency. Then sidewise, if you establish more and more units, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is servicing, definitely the employment opportunities will go up. There would be a lot more opportunities for people to be employed. Then what could be the other benefits? Other benefits could come in form of acquiring knowledge on the latest technology, acquiring knowledge on some specific field, acquiring more skills, or to make the manpower more skilled to perform efficiently. But the basic thing you can attach to the establishment of all those facilities is to earn more foreign exchange, and second is to create more employment opportunities. These two are the main reasons. Other will come as it progresses through. Then how many export processing zones are there? The government is trying to improvise on that, But whenever these type of things will come to your mind, you can conclude export processing zone, whether it is a export processing zone, whether it is export oriented units, the locality matters, and mostly export processing zones are established near uh, some ports or near some international airports which have been operating for a long time. So blindly you can say when it comes to port at port at Kandla, Gujarat, at Visakhapatnam, and somewhere near your Kerala. And when it comes to airport, automatically it will be Delhi, it will be Mumbai. So for Delhi, it is not exactly Delhi. There are two neighbors of Delhi which are industrially very prosperous. One is Noida and another one is Gurugram. So these are the basic idea of export processing zones established in India, their objectives, and next we'll be discussing about their eligibility and approval. So you can get knowledge on that just by going through your books, your materials. Nothing very out of the world things there. One condition applies to every type of industry before their establishment, that they will be producing something or they will be rendering a service which is approved by the government. They cannot do illegal service or they cannot obtain approval for illegal service or illegal manufacturing of certain goods. So what will be the basic objective of approving them to operate as export units? The basic objective would be to grant them some liberty so that they can earn more revenues for the country, and secondly, as they would be exempted from different tax liabilities for the initial years, and initially it may vary from 3 to 5 years, they will be in a position to contribute to the national economy. Next, I will be giving you an idea about special economic zone, though it is there in the book after some pages. Special economic zone, as you know, like the hotel industry, there is some status given to hotel like 3-star, 5-star. This star signifies the credibility, the hospitality of those hotels which are at a higher level. To obtain a star in hotel industry is a matter of prestige for the owner. Similarly, special economic zone is a higher version of export processing zone. That means that economic zone is created for a special purpose in which every activity will be done for the purpose of export. So, what would be the difference between special economic zone and export zone?
So,
Special economic zone. Yes, yes, Masood.
good morning, sir.
Good
Actually,
morning.
export related zone will be only limited to the export of the items, and in a special economic zone, all kind of activity can be took place. It in a special economic zone, there may be certain export and also means for the purpose of domestically. But when you see the export zone, it is only sole purpose for the export only.
Okay, you first tell me why are you late today?
Sir, actually, I was joined at 8:50 only. and I just listening up to your words, and then I interrupt.
Okay, then nice. It's always a nice feeling to interact with you because participation in class makes me more motivated. Otherwise, I'll be speaking only for continuously 2 hours. Doesn't feel good.
And also
So,
getting some information on export zone. I had the knowledge regarding to SEZ, and
mhm.
we have SEZ in Bhubaneswar near that Kids College. We have TCS and all over there. So I know the benefit of that, what is the taxation benefit and others benefit the companies enjoy in the SEZ. But export zone, I just want to gather the knowledge.
Okay, Masood, can you tell me, or do you know about one thing? I'm just citing an example. Suppose another unit or another organization which doesn't exist inside this special economic zone purchases something from an unit established in SEZ. So, do you know what will be the criteria applicable to them?
So I had a view on that, but currently means cannot connect actually. Actually, not remembering those points. Actually, there is some special
Eh,
some
Yes, yes.
benefit.
The very, very interesting, peculiar thing is that if you, as an ordinary or other organization which is directly not involved with export, for some purpose, if you need to buy something from the units established in SEZ, you have to pay the customs duty. They won't be paying, but if you purchase from them, you will be paying the customs duty. Because initially that was exempted to them, but as an outsider, if you purchase, that will be also, that means whatever is purchased from the units or from the organizations which are established in SEZ will be treated also as export. Whatever domestically we purchase from the units in SEZ will also be considered as export. That's a very interesting and peculiar thing.
So you can
So
observe whatever the services, like example of TCS in Bhubaneswar only, it is there in the SEZ. So whatever service TCS is provided, it will go under the criteria of export also. Export in regards to
yes,
so person
that
who are
means though
receiving.
they exist within the boundary of the country, if they render a service, that will be treated as import for the country, and for that particular unit, that will be treated as export. So it's a peculiar thing. Okay, let us move ahead. So in this concept, in this context, DTA comes into picture. That means domestic tariff area. That means all the other areas, excluding the SEZ and EPZ. So any unit in DTA, if it is supposed to purchase anything from the SEZ units, it has to pay the customs duty. It will be regarded as an import. Then what else to be decided or discussed in this particular unit? Then we'll be talking about export performance. Export performance, yes, whenever someone is doing business, it's general concept. So whenever this type of question will come, you just put something predeterminedly in your mind that whenever some evolution part comes, you just have to remember the first significant year and from that year onwards, any organization which is doing business will be trying to achieve more. So export in India, obviously, from the previous years, it would be the objective of the government to do more business for the country. So year on year, the general trend will be to observe export in a rising way. Unless there is some drastic condition in the world scenario, like the condition which we are experiencing now. Otherwise, in all other cases, even if for the less developed countries, the graph should be always increasing. If it does not increase, then there will be severe problem for that country, because if your business, in your business, if you are unable to push your product to customers, if you are unable to sell your products at a large scale, your business will be very hard to survive. Similarly, for a country, if export goes down year on year, then it would be very difficult for the country to manage their balance of payment, and the economy will sit down. So,
Sir,
what
my
else
one
to be
question.
discussed?
My one
Yes.
question is there. I want to say that there is a means in export we see that how I want to suggest. Just a minute, I just want to connect. I had a it came to mind and
Yes, I'm waiting.
sir, I will let you know. I will let you know. Sir, you continue.
Okay. No issue. So similarly, in the same way, we will progress toward export houses, trading houses, which we have already discussed in the previous class. When an organization which has been consistently doing well in case of export, if it registers an average export of 15 crores in the last 3 financial years, then it can be given a status of export houses. It can be given a status of export house. Once an organization gets a status of export house, that means it adds to their reputation, it builds their credibility, and it gives the organization immense satisfaction that yes, we have obtained a star, we have obtained a label at which others will consider as a foreign currency contributor to the country. Similarly, for export, once you become an export house, you will want to do more. You want to do um, well. You want to do more activities, more export, and your next target should be a trading house. For trading house, the last 3 years transaction on an average should be 75 crores. Not transaction actually, sorry, export. Export should be around 75 crores per year. And for start trading house, you have to grow your business 5 times than trading house. That would be 375 crores. And for superstar rating, you have to do 1125 crores on an average per year. And there is also another criteria. Let me explain you with a simple example. Suppose it is an export house. There is a criteria of an average export of 15 crores per year in the last 3 years. That means in the last 3 years it should combinedly make 45 crores of business, 45 crores of exporting. But one condition prevails there, that the last year, the immediate preceding year, could not have less business than the middle year. That means suppose in the very last year it did business of 10 crores, in the middle year it did business of 20 crores, and in the immediate preceding year it did a business of 15 crores. So though it has made combinedly 45 crores in 3 years, though it has the average of 15 crores per year, till then it cannot be given the status of export house, because in the immediate preceding year it has done business which is less than the middle year. So that is a criteria. You have to do well year on year, and in the immediate preceding year you should have more business than all other years to be, or all other years in consideration. So as you go high up in the ladder in export, you will be enjoying more benefit, you will be enjoying more status. Those are given, the benefits are given in your book, you can go through them. Just you What else? Suppose a an organization it attains superstar trading status. Then what else is there for the organization to achieve? There is also one more motivation that is called golden status. How golden status is given to export houses or trading houses? When a trading house or export organization gets superstar trading, that means 1125 crores on an average business per year for consecutive 3 terms, then it can achieve the golden status certificate, which is very prestigious for any export organization. And nothing much left in this unit. Uh, what else to be discussed? Nothing. So this was actually a small part left in block 2. Now you can unmute and ask me whether you have any doubts on anything so far we have discussed. Then we'll be moving to block 3, which deals with the trade prospects of selected products. So now you can interact with me for 2 or 3 minutes, then we'll move forward.
Sir, in the last class we discussed about the FDI.
Yeah.
The greatest a portion of our FDI from last 2 years is coming from Singapore. It's not from Mauritius. Singapore have surpassed it from last 2 years.
Okay. Okay.
And the thing I told you, like it was not from Mauritius. It was indirectly coming from UK.
Okay.
UK was trying to enjoying the rights given to Mauritius, so it was coming via Mauritius to us.
Okay, Himani, whatever data you have shared with me, I'm happy that you have researched for a while. You have given some of your time to know more about that, and it's a very good habit. But Himani, please give me the source from where you obtained this data. Because this is for my knowledge also, na? I want to
Okay.
improve on mine. So please, the source of data. Please provide me the source of data.
Okay, sir.
And make it a habit. Hello, Himani.
Yes,
For
sir.
you, make it a habit whenever you have some query, whenever you want to know about something, do explore, do research, do know about that thing. But whenever you are satisfied with a particular information, you make a habit of noting down that source. If it is a website, please note the website. If it is some journal, it's the name of that journal and volume and issue. So that will add to the authenticity of the source, which will be beneficial for others also. Okay,
Oh, okay,
it's
sir.
a good thing. You have devoted some time for that. Very good. Now, anyone else who wants to interact?
Sir, my question is that what Himani said, it has been given in the lifemint.com newspaper. What
Which
he has
one? Which
said
one?
that
Which one?
lifemint.com.
Life Mint.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
It is there in
lifemint.com.
Google. When you search, immediately it is there. And second question is that, sir, as you said, there is a export and export houses and everything. My question is that what is the criteria for the essential commodities in relation to the export? Because we have two kinds of product or commodities, like a normal and we have essential also. So we know the there is a normal for normal products or commodities we have some rules, but what is any many is any special rules or regulation there in relation to essential commodities?
Yes, there are some rules pertaining to essential commodities. The total production in essential commodities, a specific percentage or specific portion of that production cannot be exported. That means if suppose 100 units of essential commodities if are manufactured, then you cannot export more than 20% of that. So that actually in this regard you can search. There is one thing which is called ITC for exporting. It is called ITC, which is also known as Indian Trade Clarification, or it is also known as Indian Trade Code. So actually, what does that system signifies? Indian Trade Clarification actually have a harmonized system. In that harmonized system, you have a lot of sections, lot of chapters, and each chapter is meant for a specific good or specific categories of goods. Suppose it is agricultural product, one section, one chapter will be on there. Whether it is a marine product, one other section will be there. So for all different, in fact there are 99 chapters in that harmonized system. So Masood, you do one thing, for essential, but for all the essential commodities, the chapters doesn't specify the same proportion. It differs for export purpose, but yes, for essential commodities, the specific percentage to be used domestically is more than the other things. Okay, Masood.
Sir, can I share my screen
Sir,
for a minute?
Yes, with the permission of the host, you can share. With the permission of Patel sir, or you can share. If you can share.
Sir, is it visible?
Yes, tax justice network. Yes, visible.
Sir, the basic detail is shown
Okay.
in this graph.
So you have done some work. You have done some research. Very good. Even do keep those things with you because
Yes, sir.
in future it may help you a lot in writing an article.
Research paper. The
Yes,
basic
good.
companies were uh, is this visible?
Yes.
These were the basic
Oracle
companies.
Global. Yes, visible.
And these all are subsidiaries of the companies which are basically from UK. Most
Okay.
of them.
But my question is, Imani,
Yes, sir.
though the companies are basically from UK, and although they are coming through Mauritius route, but whether as the largest investor, apart from Singapore, whether Mauritius will be considered or UK will be considered?
Sir, on papers it is Mauritius, but in
Yes.
actual terms or where the actual profit goes, it is UK.
I agree with you, but on paper you have to also write Mauritius is the largest investor. As per
Yes,
our books,
sure.
now for your latest information, it is Singapore.
Yes, sir.
So now we will be moving towards the next block where we will discuss about trade prospects of some selected products. Well, as you know, trade prospects means opportunity. what are supposed to happen in future. And of select product means there are lot many products, and we are only selecting those products which will be generating more revenues for the country in future, which will be earning more foreign currency for the country in future. So in this trade prospects, we will start with agricultural products. As you know, um, agricultural products, this is these products are very much needed for us, and also it is needed for the entire human civilization. Unless you have some food, you cannot survive. So agricultural products can be of two types. One is directly obtained from the fields from cultivation, and other one which is indirectly related to the agricultural activities. So why we are considering agricultural products? Because do you have an idea, um, like agricultural products, like ready-made garments, like gems and jewelry, which products we are exporting at large? That means what I want to ask, which product constitutes the maximum percentage of export for India?
Sir,
Do you have any
earlier it
idea?
was agriculture products, but now
Hmm.
agriculture and textile are going side by side.
Yeah. So as you know, agricultural product occupies the maximum percentage in our export segment. So we consider agriculture. Like Imani said, textile is also going neck by neck, side by side. So we will be also considering textile. Then the other things which are contributing to the economy, we will be discussing about those products. So now if we consider agricultural products, then which things will come under agriculture? That would first we will discuss about that. Then you will get a very good clear picture in your mind. Agriculture, immediately from our childhood, when you think about agriculture, first the cultivation of land only comes to our mind. We will get crops, but agriculture has a bigger domain. Now, if you are doing fisheries, this also comes under agriculture. If you are doing a poultry farm, this also comes under agriculture. So, agricultural products, the definition of agricultural products became larger day by day in the course of time. Now it includes anything that acts as a food for the human being. So whether it is crop, agriculture, whether it is all the marine products which are eatable, agricultural products, um, the farm from which we get meat, agricultural products. So composition of agricultural products, when we will discuss, that will be categorized into three or four types, in which food grains will be one type, tobacco will be another, spices will be another type, fruits and vegetables will be there, marine products will be there. So I will be just briefing you on each of these products, which you also know, because from your school days you must be reading about the Assam tea, Darjeeling tea, which is very famous and adorable at other places in the world. So when we talk about composition of agricultural exports, we can think of tea, because from our childhood we know that Indian tea is very much appreciated in other countries. Then up to some extent, yes, we are developing on coffee. But as far as coffee is concerned, which country is supposed to be the best exporter of coffee? Can anyone reply me?
Sir, UK.
UK? Are you sure? Okay, just
Yes, sir, a little bit.
remember another name and Google it. Remember the name Brazil. Okay, for coffee.
Okay, sir.
Then when we talk about food grains, yes, rice, wheat, to some extent they are exported apart from meeting our own requirement. But yes, one thing, spices of India are always in demand for people in other countries. In fact, it's interesting to note that when the actually when spices from India stopped reaching Europe in the late 15th century, then only they at that time they were so much addicted of using Indian spices that they wanted to discover the sea route to India. That was the reason because previously it was transacted through land through Turkey. There was a place called Constantinople. Through that place, the spices were moving to Europe on land. But when it was blocked by the Turkey army, then the Europeans looked for sea route to reach India. So spices are always in demand, and apart from spices, cashew nuts, fruits, vegetables, meat and meat products, all those things constitute agricultural composition. Meat, but beef meat, export of beef meat is prohibited in our country. Other than that, buffalo, goat, even pig, they are permitted. And last is marine products. Why I talked about marine products at the end? Because out of all these products, marine products, export of marine products is rapidly growing for India, and marine products also earns a lot of foreign currency, and because of some external reason in the at the international level, now suppose America, suppose some European countries, developed European countries, previously who were not doing marine products business more with India, now they are ordering India for more marine products because of some other scenario of the international states. So exporting of marine products is going day on day. Then there are some other things which you just know about floriculture. Floriculture, though India is not one of the largest in floriculture export, because small country like Holland, they excel in floriculture. Still then floriculture, export of floriculture earn some precious foreign currency for India. Then you can think about, if question comes, what are the government's measure to enhance agricultural export? Actually, when we are talking about the prospects of selected products, trade prospects, and we have started with agricultural product. After the completion of this agricultural product, we will just know about some points, and that will be applicable to all other products. Suppose first we read what are agricultural products, the definition, which contributes or which acts like food for the survival of human beings. Next question was, what were the composition of agricultural products? Similarly, when we will be going to the next product, the ready-made garments, what are the composition of ready-made garments? Then the third part will what the government is taking steps to promote this particular segment. Similarly, for textile, the same thing will come. So it falls into a pattern. If you remember the pattern for one product, it will be applicable for all the products which are supposed to follow after this one. So this is a very good pattern to remember. The composition, then the government measures to enhance this agricultural export. So when the government measures to enhance, what will come? You can again come back to your own conclusion, what we have already discussed in the previous classes. There would be lack of infrastructure which the government is supposed to develop. There would be provision for adequate finance to boost the organization's financial health. Similarly, there should be more clarity in communication. There should be more transporting facility. And for agricultural products, yes, for some specific products, the transportation process differs a bit. Suppose it is for agriculture. So agriculture, suppose meat is getting transported. So for that reason, the packaging process should be different. Suppose flowers are exported. For that reason, um, transportation process will be different. For mangoes, process will be different. So keeping those things in mind, the government should develop the adequate facilities for packaging or for preserving those items so that it can reach its destination without getting damaged. That is the common thing. So in that regard, another new concept is evolving, and particularly for this agricultural sector, fruits section, which is known as VHT. VHT means vapor heat treatment, and this is applicable basically for tropical fruits like mangoes. They need a certain temperature to get more sweet, to become more sweeter, and to be in its shape for a longer period of time. So that technology, that VST technology was not available with India previously, but with the help of Japan, now we are establishing this type of treatment plants where we can store large number of tropical fruits and can export it later. Similarly, um, for other items, for other items, the basic thing, whether it is agricultural, whether it is garments, whether it is marine products, you need storehouses, you need warehouses, means you need storage place for proper storage so that the products will not get damaged and can be preserved for a longer period of time if it is not exported immediately. So the government should take steps to work on that. So if a question comes on government measures to enhance any export, whether it is agriculture, whether it is gems and jewelry, whether it is garments, first thing will the government should try to develop infrastructure. The government should work on the stockpiling or on the warehouses or storehouses to keep and preserve the items for a longer period of time. There should be more transparency in communication. There should be improvement in transport process. Like all these things will be common for every product. So another part in the pattern will come. What would be the strategy to boost export? The same thing. To boost export, to boost something, to boost a particular sector, what would be your strategy? Suppose you are an exporter. As an exporter, you think what could be done for you to improve your business.
Sir, the regulations should be liberal. The tax should be very, very, very less. Import on those goods, agricultural goods.
Okay, many already the government. Suppose you are in a export processing zone, huh? And all these benefits are already enjoyed by you as an organization in the unit. What else you want? What other favors you want the government should do for you to enhance your business? What you told, I just add to that. You are enjoying the
Sir,
export.
agricultural land also comes under special economic zones.
No, no, no,
Okay, that I was confused for a bit.
no. Okay, I can add to you. as an export-oriented unit, you are enjoying exemption in customs duty, but some regulations are there which is obstructing you to do the business in a faster way. So those regulations, that means the process should be more digitalized so that paperwork will get less and you will not be wasting lot of time in paperwork rather than in productive work. So the process should be more simplified. Ideally, it should be digitalized. Then, like the strategy, in the strategy, another common thing, another one more common thing will come. That is,
Sir, can I interrupt?
yes,
Sir, I want to add one point. We always said we want to do export, but my question is that help of can we have the more liberty to access to the market? We
I
may
was
send
just
to
thinking
goods
on
to
that point.
Myanmar, or we may send to go to Myanmar or limited to Sri Lanka or Bangladesh or Nepal, something like that. But we cannot send goods to, you can say, Vietnam or Indonesia or Philippines. So if there will be a advantage for an exporter to have a global market under one umbrella, so the government by government to government agreement or a bilateral or the regional agreement, so that the market will be much bigger and it can be much opportunity to export to different one goods to different countries
Hello.
and different region actually.
Hello.
Okay, Masud. But because you want to say something, because বুঝে বলো.
No, sir. Okay.
If you want, you can add.
No, sir.
Okay. So Masud, as a general person, as a general citizen, if you think in this line, don't you think the government has thought in this line also? In this regard, the process is going on. Suppose we have built up a regional trade bloc like SARC, like ASEAN, and once a country becomes the member of a particular trade bloc, then automatically the business or the export, it gets done between the member countries, but it is not restricted to other countries, because in all the treaties there remains one clause which tells that we the member countries can do business on a liberal term, but every country is free to do business with other countries at its own term. That means if we are doing business in the SARC, within the SARC countries at a liberal term, we may not do business on the same liberalized term with Malaysia, but we can do business or we can export to Malaysia, and the agreement between Malaysia and our country will be done on that regard. So it does not restrict one country to, no treaty actually restricts other countries to do business with the countries outside the member countries. But the term there differs. And when some items are banned from export, means that is banned by the government of the host country to export. Suppose recently we banned oil to Malaysia. So that was an instruction from the government to do that. Otherwise, there is no restriction. Suppose we cannot import thorium from another country, because the restriction is from that country, not from
We
ours.
cannot export poppy seeds to US.
Yes. So that instruction comes from the government. Whether our government has banned that product or particularly that product is not acceptable or accepted by the government of the importing country. So it is always a process in which, yes, I want to add something to Masud's point. What he pointed out, what he wanted to point out, that we should get into more bilateral and multilateral treaties to enhance our export, to do our business, international business, in a much smoother way. So this is it. The strategies of the government should always to promote export and to earn more foreign currencies for the country. Now, in the same way, we will move to another product, another segment of the selected products, because agricultural products were generating the maximum revenue in terms of export, in terms of foreign currency. Then next to it, the textile industry comes. So this product, textile and garments, in the same way, we will follow up this one. Suppose first, textile industry, if we want to have a glimpse, have a look at the textile industry of India, there is one interesting thing. Only in India it exists. In other countries, this structure doesn't exist. In textile industry, India has three segments. One is your spinning segment, spinning sector, where only threads are obtained. Another one is power loom sector. That means the looms are driven by electricity and we are manufacturing clothes, garments. And the third one is handloom sector. And this particular sector doesn't exist in every country. This is a unique segment in India. Handloom sector. People are weaving manually. People are preparing sari manually, and they are of high demand and they are costly also. So this is a unique feature of Indian textile industry. So from the national point of view, it provides more employment. It provides employment much more to some of the other sectors rather than from agriculture. But difference between agricultural employment and garments employment, textile employment, is that in agriculture it may be seasonal. The employment may be seasonal because agriculture depends on monsoon. Yes, one more perspective of the government should be to concentrate to facilitate irrigation to every possible land in every corner of the country. But agriculture is basically, some employment is seasonal because once the monsoon is over, for the rest of the 6 months they sit idle. But in garments, in textile section, that employment is comparatively better because if you are getting order throughout the year, you will be executing your orders and workers will be working on the same way. But yes, our textile industry, like other industry, is divided into two categories. One is organized sector, the other one is unorganized sector. So organized sector means, what is the basic difference between organized and unorganized sector? Himani, can you give clarity on that?
Sir, I don't know it properly, but maybe like organized sector comes under the proper GST rules or proper rules given by the government, and unorganized sector is like our villages. They don't know even what is government. So how will they?
Yes, partially you are correct. So we have got good idea. Anyone who, Snigdharani, if you want to add?
Sir, basically in the organized sectors, all rules and regulation, whatever the government has notified to run a organization or a business unit, it has been comply and it is abide by all the organizer. But when it comes to the unorganized sector, it is certain rules have been followed, certain rules have been not been followed. For example, the local kiranas or the shops or the it's our local market. Local market, we cannot say it is an organized sector. It is unorganized because nothing has been uh, in a regulated way, because some are may not filing their tax returns or GST. Like we, for a small example, we can understand, like we eat at the Ivara Aludam. So the Ivara Aludam person will not file the GST, or he will not show the level of income, the per capita income what he is getting from that sale of per day. But when you go to the same thing, Gaibara Aludam search in the restaurant, so it has to pay the GST, it has to show the tax and the quantity and the every transaction. So this is the two parameters
Okay.
we cannot
Sir, it is
really
because he has the infrastructure, he has the that much income, or he has that much sale. That's why he is coming under the rules and regulations. But the local
Okay,
vendor
okay,
or
okay. Now, what both of you told, you are going into more complicated, you are looking at the things in a more complex way. Simple thing is that, or with the difference between organized and non-organized sector is that, how can you explain an ordinary layman? Organized sector means you, your employment is regular in nature, you are getting a salary, and the functioning of your organization is known to the government. Either you are registered, or you are filing taxes, or you are giving some particular, obtaining some particular benefit from the government in any form. You are existing, and the government, you are in the knowledge of the government. The government knows you are existing. In whichever form, you may be registered, you may be availing some benefit from the government, you may be giving taxes to government, you may be giving GST in any form. Organized sector means your employment is regular in nature, mostly salaried. Secondly, the existence of your organization is known to the government. Unorganized sector means your employment is not regular in nature. That means it is not assured that every day you will be getting work. Second, whatever you are doing or your organization is doing is not in the knowledge of the government. The government is not aware of the existence of your organization. So the job or the employment is highly insecure. That is unorganized.
sir, but nowadays we are trying to convert our unorganized sector into organized sector. Like for
We are
example,
trying, but how many of them are following?
no, like for example, like if I am a person from a big city, I go to small villages in deep roots of Odisha and I am buying directly from the weavers and I am selling that
Hmm.
or exporting that. So it I am converting the unorganized into organized manner.
You are making organized which section? You become organized. You make some of your employees organized, but are you making the sellers, the producers organized?
Like if I am giving them employment on regular basis, like if you produce hundred or thousands of sarees, I am going to purchase it from you, and on behalf of them, like I am purchasing their goods and I am filing taxes, so indirectly they are also part of me because they
Yes,
are the
yes,
producers.
indirectly. Yes, I agree with you. They indirectly become a contributor to you. But
Yeah,
as per government record, now you get organized, your organization gets organized, and because of your organization, they are getting some benefit. It is not bound for your organization. It is not a compulsion for your organization to buy the products every time from that particular producer. You have the option to change. You have the option to purchase the essentials from other one also. So as long as you order them, as long as you purchase products from them, they get a regular payment, and in that regard, they become a part of your organized sector. Otherwise, they
they are
cannot.
unorganized. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so and this is the basic difference between organized and unorganized. Then same thing, we'll be discussing two more things. One is centralized, and one is decentralized. So what is the difference between that? Centralized means the authority remains with one person or one board of members. Decentralization means the authority is distributed, the authority is distributed among some others to execute the work. So in case of textile also, centralized means those industries which are in the direct supervision of the government, whether it is state government, whether it is central government. They are in direct supervision, they are centralized. But also textile industry is given, so private players are also given to work on textile industry to establish industry based on manufacturing garments or dealing with cottons. So these private industries, they are directly not controlled by the government, and these are decentralized sector. Decentralized sector means the government just issues a guideline to which every industry, textile industry, will adhere to operate, to function. They cannot violate those regulations. But how they manage their industry, how they manage their people, how they work on quality assurance, how they work on shift, that entirely is decided by the management of that particular private player. So this decentralized powerloom sector is contributing a lot to our economy, is contributing a lot in terms of export. So basically our Indian textile industry, it comprises of um, spinning mills, powerloom sector, and handloom sector. And handloom sector is the unique point, is the unique sector which exists in our country, and it has a long tradition, rich tradition, still worldwide. It has recognition for the handloom sarees, for the handloom products, for the embroidery products. So this is a sector which is still existing, and but the government should give more facilities to this sector, because when, suppose take the example of current scenario, when things are getting tough for each and every person, now these handloom weavers, they will be facing bigger problem, because what is the difference between handloom and powerloom is that in the handloom, a weaver weaves a sari, it may take him 3 days or 4 days, whereas within the same period of time, powerloom can manufacture hundreds of saris. So the cost of production is very low for powerloom. The amount of production is very huge for powerloom. But for handloom, if they are able to make a sari in 3 or 4 days, and if that doesn't get sold, then it would be difficult for them to survive, because
Sir, plus like now we are not importing any goods from China. So the basic
yeah, how do you know that?
main
How do you know that? Please, Imani. How do you
sir,
know that we are not importing anything from China? There is no
sir,
circular from the government.
now in this situation of COVID-19, like all our exports and imports were stopped. So I had read one article, like the weavers from Banaras, they were like
Hmm.
sitting idle with no looms with them. Like
Yes.
silk yarns are coming from directly from China. So now as the import and export from all the countries are stopped, so the weavers are sitting idle with no looms with them to produce much more sarees, so that they can utilize this lockdown period. And plus, like this was a complete lockdown of past since past 3 months. The marriage season was over, the bulk purchases or the bulk exports were over, so like they are left with nothing with them, the weavers.
Yes. Yes, I fully agree with you on these things, but please don't make someone's personal assumption or idea or thought process that everything is banned for from China to be imported. It is not
No, no,
any
not
type of
from
circular.
China, sir. Not from China. Like all the exports and imports and all the international flights were stopped for the period for past 3 months.
But for
I
your
was
information, Himani, for your information, I'm telling you, the uh, goods by flight is still being transported from country to country, though passengers are not permitted to move from one country to another country, but goods are
sir, it
moving.
was
Hmm.
mainly it was essential goods.
Yes, yes, but whatever you told about the situation, about the condition of the weavers is absolutely correct. They are sitting idle and now they are going through a severe financial crisis. So apart from handloom sector, there are some other textile sectors which you need to look at. One is woolen textile sector, wools, the winter garments which we make from woolen sector. There is also the organized and decentralized sectors there. For to promote woolen sectors, there are some departments in the government which is working like integrated sheep and wool development project, like your area-based project for wool and woolen development. Then another sector segment is there in the textile or garments section, that is called sericulture sector. And in fact, India is the only country which sericulture means which deals with silk, and India is the only country in the world which is able to get all the four types of silk within the country. Four types of silk, as you know, mulberry, tussar, indi, and muga. So all these four types of silk available in India, and out of these four types, maximum business or maximum variety of items are made with mulberry silk. Then these are the composition of our textile industry. Then textile export, year on year it will be going upward. And when we talk about which country purchases more from India, purchases more when the purchasing part comes, yes, in 99% case you can write it is the US. America purchases the most from India. Then if you look at the trends in ready-made garments, trend is always improving, trend is always increasing. What is trend? Trend means the direction in which something is moving. And the trend is upward means export of ready-made garments is moving in an upward direction. So what could be the reasons why Indian garments export in ready-made garments is improving? What could be the reason? So you can blindly say about 3 or 4 reasons. One is, and why I am saying it that you can blindly assume 3 or 4 reasons, is that these reasons should be applicable for all the products, whether it is agriculture, whether it is textile, whether it is gems and jewelry, everything, these reasons will be common for them. So one reason will be that, yes, someone
The first
unmuted.
and the
Masudi, want to speak
foremost,
something?
sir, may I?
Yes,
The first and the foremost and the basic reason of all is we have very, very, very much abundant labor with us, unemployed
yes.
labor.
So labor, yes. Why we have labor? In some other countries also they have manpower. So what is the difference between those labor and our labor is that because yes, what you told Mahimani, because we have abundant labors are large. That means we can negotiate with labors to work at a lower wage. That means cheap labor cost. In one word, you can rise. In our
Uh,
country, labor cost is less in comparison to the developed countries. Yes,
yes, sir. In order to force them, we are not actually forcing them. It's like the cost of living in
not
India is
forcing.
very much less as compared to UK or US. There, the cost of living is very much high, or the cost of medical expenses, or the any cost, they are very much high as compared to India.
Yeah.
Sir, can I?
Now what I told Masood, yes.
Sir, one point you can be noted that due to the advertisement the government of India is doing from past 5 6 years, the Modi government has been everywhere. The Prime Minister is going, he's been promoting Indian industry, whether it is textile, whether it is manufacturing or mining, natural resources. And due to the effort of the Prime Minister and the government of India, we are seeing there is a rise in the export. I have shared the link in the times of COVID-19. According to the Piyush Goyal, Honorable Cabinet Ministry, the export improved from month of April also it was 26%, and in May it is improved to something around 36% also.
26%, 36%, this figure I couldn't get. 26%, 36% export means which thing? Which
I
export?
was saying in total, it said the graph was drastically hit in the month of March, but on the month of April, it has been gaining. In month of April, he has said it is 20 or 26%
Okay,
now.
okay. Percentage in terms of gain.
Yes,
That means
yes, yes.
whatever business we did in January, it improved by 26% in February, and whatever we did business in February, it has improved by 36% in March. That is the point you want to speak. Okay, okay. So one
Yes.
first thing is yes. Now our first advantage is that in our country, labor cost is comparatively cheaper than those of the advanced countries. Next point we can add that particularly for garment factory, for garment section, there is some special attraction, there is some special inclination towards Indian fabrics because I was talking about handloom. There are some embroidery products, there are some fine art products which are designed by the Indian weavers, which is not designed by any other in the world. So they have their own demand for special appeal of Indian fabrics. Then the what you told Masood about for improved publicity and promotional campaigns, for improved publicity and promotional campaigns, which has been going for the last 20 years, but it became very effective, particularly for the last 4 5 years, due to the effort of our current government. And another thing for India, which acts as an advantage, is that Indians don't deny small orders. That is the advantage. We don't deny small orders. Suppose you are operating an account with a bank. If you want to deposit 50 rupees in your account, you get reluctant, you hesitate. For 50 rupees deposit, I don't need to go to the bank. What does the bank will think? The person is coming to deposit 50 rupees. So many times you withdraw yourself from depositing that 50 rupees. But and if that 50 rupees gets into your account 10 times a month, it also becomes 500. But in the view to deposit 500 at a time, you deposit nothing in your account. Do you get me? At a time, you don't want to deposit. You want to deposit 500 rupees, but you don't have 500 rupees with you. You think that whenever I will be having 500 rupees, I will deposit it with the bank account. But you don't have. Never you have that 500 rupees, and never you deposited with the account in the account. But you have 50 rupees all the time. Every alternate day you have 50 rupees with you, which you can deposit with the bank, but you don't go to bank because of your reluctance. You know, 50 rupees for such a big bank, I am going to deposit 50 rupees. But if that had been done, you could have deposited 10 times and you could have deposited 500 rupees. So that principle works for India. Indians never deny small orders. So they oblige small orders for which the third world countries, or rather the less developed countries, they like to place order with us. That is one advantage. And another thing is that we as weavers, we as manual workers, we work on natural fibers. And as you know, India has a large base of black soil, which is very much essential for cotton. So we work very fine on natural fibers, and people in many parts of the world, they always go for pure cotton, natural fibers. For that reason also, we uh, get orders from abroad. Then if these things add to the advantage of our country, then what could be the weaknesses in this industry? Again, the weaknesses in this industry would be the outdated technology, the outdated machineries.
Plus,
Uh,
now the handloom, we have the shortage of the skilled labor. Like new
yes.
generation are more towards the westernization, and now we are lacking our own things.
Yes, most of the handloom sector that was previously coming under your cottage industry. Cottage industry was usually a private, a family-oriented business. But nowadays, the third generation, they are reluctant to adopt the weaving as their weaving profession as their career. So yes, there is scarcity of skilled manpower in handloom. That is one of the weaknesses. Another outdated machinery, outdated your technology, and what else you can add?
Sir, restricted export
Capital.
range.
I couldn't hear you.
Restricted export range
What does that mean?
means export range restricted to some areas so that we can export
Well,
some areas to we can
well, those
export our
areas are,
areas but not a complete area.
but those areas are restricted with certain points in mind, na? If those areas are restricted to to export certain things, then that could have been done with a region. So what
Yes,
restricted export range? So what does actually this restricted export range mean? Can anyone
so some
explain?
limitations are there.
Yes. Why these limitations exist?
Yes, and to safeguard the interest of the country.
To safeguard the interest of the country. Then,
Uh,
okay. To give more
Exploitation of
clarity,
resources.
on this one, I'm giving you another thing, which will be also learning in the next sections. It may be there. One is called quota system. Do you know? Have you ever heard the quota system? Quota
Yes, sir.
system
Quota
means
system.
there is provision by the
Reservation
government. Yes, yes. Reservation for what?
for the casteism.
Okay. You know this about only caste system. No, I am telling it in the point from the point of business. Okay, from the point of
Oh,
export. Quota
yes, sir.
system means the government has specified some rules and regulations to save its own workforce in a particular industry, to protect those workforce. For that reason, only a part of that product will be exported, others have to be consumed domestically. So what happens? Suppose some of the manufacturing goods, suppose some from the handloom sector, to protect those handloom weavers, the government has provision. The government has provision in form of government departments to purchase 15% of their requirement from the small industries or from the cottage industries of handloom. In some of the departments, the government has a circular to purchase only from KVIC, Khadi and Vikas Udyog. So what happens in this case? The things get sold. The weavers, they get money. But because large part of those productions are used inside the country, used domestically and couldn't get exported, we could not earn more foreign currencies. But in order to save, in order to protect our people, in fact, it is applicable, it is specified by the governments of all the countries. Every country wants to protect its skilled, its unique workforce. So, restricted export range, you may omit that point because it doesn't have a greater impact. If we look only for export, then our own people will not get the taste of that product, will not get the beauty, will not realize the beauty of that product. It will be only experienced outside. Like you observe, you may have heard of tiger prawn. The tiger prawn is not easily accessible in domestic market, but it is plentifully available in the foreign market. People are enjoying, foreign people are enjoying that. Then the agreement part, you can just go through what the agreement, but it doesn't carry much significance. Again, in the same pattern like agricultural industry, what would be the strategic responses from the government for future growth of this ready-made garments section and textile industry. Same, the first strategy should be to improve on technology, to improve on production process. Yes, to improve on labor productivity. What sometimes back Himani told that there is scarcity of skilled labor. So we should focus on the training of those labor to make them more skillful, to make them more efficient, to make them more productive, so that productivity as a whole will go up. The same person will be now is working for 6 hours, 7 hours. The same person will be working for the same duration, 6 or 7 hours, but the final output, the contribution will be much more from that particular person after a specific training. So that should be taken care of. Then for marketing purpose, we should have tie-ups with some of the international top sellers. In this regard, I may give you an example. You are all of you are using products of Hindustan Unilever. Most of you. In fact, all of you may be using. But the fact is that Hindustan Unilever, do you know whether it's a manufacturing organization or it's a marketing organization?
Sir,
It
it's a
can be both.
marketing organization.
Basically, it's a both, but basically it's a marketing agency. It's a marketing organization because many products which are not manufactured by Hindustan Unilever get sold under its brand name. The manufacturer may not be a renowned one. The manufacturer may be a new one. Many of the times we just purchase the product by seeing the HUL, Hindustan Unilever logo. We don't bother to see who is the manufacturer. As long as the manufacturer meets the quality standard, as long as the manufacturer meets the requirement of customers in via Hindustan Unilever, the customers they don't bother to look for who is the manufacturer. They go for the Hindustan Unilever brand on which they have trust. Similarly, there are some brands at international level which have already established a good name for them. So the government should take initiative to have tie-ups about some products so that it can be exported in a better way. Because at your own effort, if it was moving at 1,000 units per month, maybe with the tie-up, by the tie-up with that particular agency, your sale may go up by another 100 or another 200. So that effort, that attempt should be made. Then, um, if we consider future growth, now onwards, for all types of industry, if you are planning a growth, always plan it with, by keeping the environment in your mind, with an eye on the environment, because day by day you have to be environment friendly. You have to obey some of the minimum etiquettes to preserve environment. Whatever we are doing till now, whatever we have done till now, we have always ignored environment, or we have given environment a second place. Always the first place of business transaction, money comes to our mind. But now onwards, whatever strategy the government will make, it will make the strategy keeping the environment in mind. So it should be environment friendly. So what would be the future prospect? It should be upgraded, for updated technology, for updated production process, for skilled labor. There should be more training programs, for more marketing, to create bigger market, tie-ups with branded international leaders, and to make plans for growth, keeping the environment in mind. In the same way, the next gems, jewelry and handicraft section will come. So we can, in the same way, just discuss it briefly, because the composition of handicrafts, the composition of gems and jewelry. The composition of handicrafts, handicrafts means the artistic work done by hand. It may come in form of your applique works. It may come in form of your embroidery. It may come in form of shaping a beautiful statue from small stones. So handicrafts, the art of hand. Similarly, the composition of gems and jewelry, there are not many types of gems, invaluable stones through which we make, with which we make jewelry. So some of the examples of gems and jewelry are precious, semi-precious stones, polished stones through which we make jewelry. It can be made from gold, it can be made from silver, it can be made with gold and diamond. And for handicrafts, the composition we can trace to embroideries, jari works, and your shawls for winter shawls. And even now handicrafts item, one more thing is added into handicraft, which looks like gold, that comes under other handicrafts. So handicrafts industry actually,
Sir, may I?
yes,
Sir,
Himani.
nowadays even the goods made from bamboo, like the bamboo bottles or the wood utensils or the what we call it, like
Yes, the bamboo works, what we use in form of chairs, in form of sofas at your home, that comes under handicrafts also. If you are doing some bamboo work artistically and place it at your home, that also comes under handicraft. So handicraft has got its domain bigger.
sir, what is that material called in which, in which villages we used to keep muri?
That material, moody. Well, I exactly can't name that.
Yes,
but
and
that is
the goods from that material also in high quality are now exported to US, UK.
okay. Okay. So those also come under handicraft, isn't it? So these are the composition of handicrafts. Like the other units, the export of handicrafts, if we discuss year on year, it is improving. But one thing is that handicrafts of India was always a beautiful thing to be used and watched by others. Actually, before the advent of British rule, handicraft of India was very much famous, at least within Asia and some part of Europe. But when the Britishers entered and when the Industrial Revolution took place, they wanted to promote their own product. But Indian products, Indian handicraft products, handmade products were of so much appreciation that people did not go for those British products in India. So, in order to promote only the British products, they imposed several taxes on Indian um, handicraft items. So, the the price of those handicraft items went up. Even it became higher than those of the products which were manufactured in England and exported to India. In that process, and that was the start of decaying. That was the start of the crisis period for Indian handicrafts. And by the time the British left, Indian handicraft industry, Indian small industries, manual industries were almost stagnant. Only after our independence, this sector was again given importance. We have come some way, but we cannot term it as we have come a long way because initially we were excellent. Then within the middle period, we became nothing, though we did have some potentials, but we could not contribute in terms of livelihood. Now it is going up, flourishing, but we cannot term that the handicrafts item in India is doing exponentially well in the world market. This sentence does not hold good for handicrafts. So the major market for handicrafts, the major importer of Indian handicrafts item, again it would be US. And for gems and jewelry, the figure is improving every year, and again the main importer is US. In fact, diamonds and gold jewelry in this sector are by far the most important and prospective items. Diamonds and gold, because the platinum and jewelry of other items are not so much appreciated, unlike diamond and gold. So basically, or automatically, diamond and gold jewelry occupies the maximum percentage proportion in terms of export. Why then again the same, what are India's advantages, what are India's disadvantages? So what would be the advantages for India? Because this is handicraft, this advantage will not be the same as others. Because Indians are very good artists, because India has a long rich tradition of making beautiful jewelries manually, which is not matched easily by any other countries. And this is the biggest advantage of India in terms of making jewelry. Then what else could be India's advantage in particularly this segment, handicraft and your jewelry? Apart from the first point, that India has a long rich tradition. Some families are into this business for the last 100 years. So we are at the advantage of getting some quality work from them. And what else could be the advantage in this field? Just one or 2 points. Anyone? No one will give his view or her view. Well, another advantage you can add that these things are done, and with comparison to other countries, because we have a greater workforce, more number of skilled workers in this field, we are able to deliver those products at a comparatively lower cost. So affordable cost and long reach traditional experienced worker, these 2 points contribute to the exporting.
Sir, may I?
Yes.
Sir, one example can be like we promote our own goods.
Hmm?
Like we are using our traditional shawls or traditional carpets, or like we are promoting them to others, like it's a high quality thing, we are using it, and
Yes, we are
definitely looks
using.
very much beautiful. And like our Modi ji
Yes.
said that we should promote our locals and be vocal for that.
Hmm.
So it's a plus
But
point for us.
if yes, we have already agreed that we have beautiful products, we have quality products, and if we use it domestically, it's fine. But how it contributes to export? My point is that what are our advantages for exporting these things at
Like
large?
sir, if somebody is going maybe to US or UK for just like tourist, as a tourist, and there he is wearing all the western outfits, then we are not promoting our things. But if we go out there and we try to wear our traditional things, like a banarsi sari or a ikat sari, so they'll see, wow, such a beautiful, they are wearing it. So it's like
Yes,
promoting our
I
things.
get your point. That is marketing. That is marketing. That is a part of your strategy to promote exporting. What I asked, what are the advantages for Indians? What are the advantages in particularly in this field to export more? So I don't think apart from those 2 points, what you told is absolutely correct, but that is a part of our marketing strategy. Unless you promote your goods in other countries, how it will get marketed? So, okay, these 2 points, and disadvantages are several because the government should, because it is an unorganized sector and many of the places, the government should look for the minimum survival. The government should give minimum benefits to those workers for their survival. And all those points, nothing more left in this one. Measures for export development, handicrafts, you can go through this. So with this, I think almost we have completed block 3. If you have anything, you just go through the last 2 or 3 pages. If you find any difficulty, you can ask me tomorrow. But the pattern remains the same. And what are the composition, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, what are the government measures taken to promote this industry? All the 4 units come under same category and same pattern. The first one we started with agriculture, then we moved to garments, textile, then you move to your handicrafts, gems and jewelry.
James.
So you just go through the last 2 or 3 pages. You need to development your design, so that it will be more attractive. You should go for volume production. Volume production means if you go for large scale production, the cost of production will be less, so that you can market your product at a very competitive price. That's the basic reason of volume production for any product. Then develop design. If you go for volume product, price automatically will be within your control. And another strategy should be taken by the government to expand the market, to explore more market, to create more market for these products. That product should be more market diversification, product diversification. Product diversification means with the same material we should be making a new type of product which is not previously present in the market, or which will be a new thing to be eagerly accepted by the customers. Similarly, market diversification means we not only we just not will depend on 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 countries for our gold jewelry, for our jewelry and gems to be exported. We should create a bigger market. We should try to explore some other countries in which we can push our product through. So these type of things takes place in marketing. It's very common for you. So with this, I think we have come to the end of unit 10. Then there is another unit which we will be discussing tomorrow, because it's now getting heavy for today. We have already covered 4 units today. So last unit will be leather products, which will be very and for the leather products, what would again the same way, what would be the composition of leather products, what things are being getting exported, is being exported under this leather product item. What are the, that means the composition, then why, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, what are the government measures, who is the largest importing nation, what is the trend in leather exporting. All those things will fall in the same pattern. You just go through them, just 5 to 6 pages. We'll be discussing it again on tomorrow. And now I think it's time. Thank you so much for being with me for the last 2 hours and so patiently. Some of you, I appreciate your spirit of participating in the session, so that I feel motivated. And it's not an easy task to keep you engaged for 2 hours without seeing, without watching each other. So thank you, and once again thank you so much. And just go through the last last section, and we'll discuss it about it tomorrow. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, sir.